If you're like me, you don't want someone to read slides to you, so I won't do that. What I will do is talk you through our process and our purpose for this proposal. As we continue to learn from our past, examine who we are now, and envision a plan for our future together, there are a number of foundational tasks that must be completed to inform our work. One of these important interim tasks is to closely examine the structures of our church and how they can be improved. To that end, an ad hoc structural review committee was formed with the purpose of looking closely at the structure of our church leadership, studying best practices for churches of our size, and making a recommendation for improvement. Those of you who have served in church leadership positions in the past would likely agree that many of the ways that we have been working together have become cumbersome and ineffectual. It is common for our leaders to feel overwhelmed and overburdened by their positions. And often, leaders do not serve full terms and choose to take long breaks before stepping into a leadership position again. Other members have even chosen to not take leadership positions at all because of the time and commitment required. This is not a sustainable model. It is not who we want to be, and we know that we can do better. Although the ad hoc committee did consider possibilities for changes in our pastoral and paid leadership within the church, the focus for right now is on the structure of our volunteer and lay leaders. A proposal from the ad hoc committee was brought to council in April to show the findings of the study. Between April and September, Reverend Anna, Reverend Nikki, Milena Thompson, who's our vice chair, and I considered the proposal. And in September, we brought forth an idea to the council for a streamlined structure. The council added their input, and we actually streamlined the proposal even further. And then the proposal was unanimously approved. Before I show you the new structure itself, I want to give you an idea of what the structure looks like as it stands in our current bylaws. On your screen, what you see is the current council structure as outlined in the bylaws. You can see that a lot of people are required in order to govern our church. There are 7 standing committees, along with an executive committee, some additional required officers, an elder chair with elders elected by the congregation, and a deacon chair with deacons elected by the congregation. The findings of the ad hoc committee underscored what many of us who have served in leadership positions already knew. Our current council structure is too large to function efficiently. Research indicates that the ideal governing council consists of 6 to 8 members, and we have at least 14 and often more. Committees often overlap in their work, and staff and committee leaders are often not able to get work accomplished effectively and smoothly. Our governance, our day-to-day, month-to-month, year-to-year running of the business of the church, and our mission work are entangled. At best, this is inefficient, and at worst, it causes frustration, tension, and even conflict. A lot of the expectations are not well defined within or among committees, the chairs of the committees, council, and staff. And As many of you are very well aware, there are a lot of meetings. This graphic shows the proposal from the ad hoc committee of how we might streamline a council structure. The original report from the ad hoc committee included several options for how we might structure our pastoral and staff leadership in the future. But one thing that was consistent was that a council should not be entangled between mission and governance. So what you can see here is that there is a leadership council and then mission teams. As we considered the idea proposed by the ad hoc committee, our co-bridge pastors, our vice chair, and I analyzed our current structure and the suggested changes. We agreed that a good first step is to take the structure we already have and to differentiate between the governance and the missional work of the church. And so we are proposing that we have governance committees to govern and create policies in a routine and structured way, and mission teams who will be freer to minister as the Spirit is calling them. This streamlined plan includes expanding the executive committee to include all of the leaders who participate in the governance of our church. This streamlined council would expand the executive committee to include all of the leaders who participate in the governance of our church. Similar roles and committees would combine to create strong missional teams called to lead the congregation in the work of extending Christ's peace and justice. The mission team coordinators will be part of the full council, but they will not be required to attend monthly executive team meetings, which are focused on the governance of the church and policy-making decisions. It is our intention to free up their time to do the work that they feel most called to do. Quarterly, the full council, which would include both the executive committee and the mission team coordinators, will come together to work on our vision and strategic planning. And of course, in keeping with our congregational polity, all major decisions will be brought to the congregation for a vote. We have carefully pulled this plan together because we believe that a trial of a more streamlined model will show that we can increase organizational efficiency and missional effectiveness, that we can clarify our leadership roles and decrease organizational conflict and build trust in the system. We believe that a streamlined model will reduce leadership fatigue and burnout and open the door for a new generation of leaders, and that it will build a sustainable organizational foundation for our church's future. And so here is the proposal itself. You can see that the executive committee has been expanded to include the chair, the vice chair, a separate personnel chair, the treasurer, who's in charge of the outflow of money, the financial secretary, who's in charge of our income, the property chair, the recording secretary / historian, and our pastors. In the past, the personnel chair and the vice chair have been a combined role filled by one person. The reason that we would like to separate these two roles out is because at this time, being the vice chair of the council requires some expertise in personnel matters. We would like to open the positions to more people who can serve in executive leadership. Our mission teams consist of the stewardship team, which will allow us to focus on stewardship of our time and our talent and our financial resources and the way that we use them in our church and in the world throughout the year. A worship team that includes the deacons and our Minister of Music, a social justice team, a community connections team that combines our fellowship, welcome, and communications committees. That team will also include our elders, whose main function is to support the connections between members of our congregations. And of course, an education team. These areas are the ones that consistently show up as our congregation's highest priorities for the way that we work and serve the world together. This slide shows a little bit more clearly the difference between the way the governance committees and the mission teams will work. Governance committees will continue to meet at least monthly, and mission teams will meet as often as needed, whether monthly or less frequently, or perhaps more frequently, to do the work that they are called to do. As always, all meetings, with the exception of personnel and some closed session executive meetings, are open to all members. I hope that this video has brought some clarity to our purpose and our plan for the restructuring of our council. I know it's been a long video, and it's been a long process. And I'm glad that we're in this together. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to answer and to give clarity and to make sure that everyone feels included in this decision-making process. Thank you.